Good morning, Rabbi Isai. nishmas imi miros Yisroel Mordechai. Hayoim echad v'esrim yoim shem shleisha shavuos ba'omer or la'omer sponsored nishmas, a 10-year-old girl, Sarah Aleh Shalom Bas or Yibadul Chaim Dovid. Rabbi said this is a very, very cool email. There's a lot to it. And there's a follow-up, very interesting follow-up that I just got this morning. Dear Rebelli, I'm not the kind of guy to send emails like this, but I've been encouraged to do so by Chaim Steg. I'm a father of 2 living in Brooklyn who went through the regular yeshiva system without much of a drive toward learning. For about 7 years, I took out the name and I put it back in now. So if you're seeing this email, that's why. His name wasn't in there. I thought he wouldn't want his name, but I just asked him Rishos. The person that encouraged him. For about 7 years, I left yeshiva. I tried to keep some sort of daily learning in my life, which consisted of a 20-minute daily seder. In fact, it was more like, at best, bi-weekly. Twice a week, you'd learn for 20 minutes. And I felt little to no connection with learning. About 2.5 years ago, Rabbi said, listen to this. About 2.5 years ago, I saw a well-known Jewish singer's post on Instagram of him doing the daf with you before singing at a wedding. We know who that singer is, Moshe Tischler. This gave me the push, right? Because I showed it in the shir. This gave me the push, saying I can do it too. I went to your website, received the free Moed Katan Gemara, and ever since then, from Moed Katan Beis, I can say I missed a total of 4 shiurim, which I've since made up. The kids, he learned every single day for 2.5 years. The Daf Yomi has given me the pressure to learn every day. I like that. A new lashon, the pressure, okay? Give him a little lachatz, learn every day, usually done during my commute to work. This is something I'm proud of. And I'm sure my children will see the benefit from it. Thank you for leading me to be a more Ben Toyerdika, father, spouse, anonymous from Flatbush. She sent me his name. I know who he is, I think. This moved me. That a guy, a singer, had no idea. He was learning. He wanted to learn Torah. And he learned by a wedding, and somebody took a picture of him. And then inspired another person to change his life. 2.5 years. We're not talking about a month. We're talking about 2.5 years of his life. So I looked for his phone number. I got his Moshe Tischler's phone number, and I called him up. I said, I want you to know, he's singing at my son's chas in Moshe Tischler, so I know him a little bit. I said, I want you to know that you changed somebody's life from a picture that was taken of you doing the daf. He said, thank you very much, thank you very much. He went, Moshe Tischler went, just following up the story. He took the recording of me calling him and he put it on his status. And this individual saw it on his status. And he called him and said, I'm the guy that inspired. I guess they know each other maybe. And then Moshe Tischler said, I don't know if I ever supposed to say it, but too bad, it's going to inspire someone. He said, I fell off the bandwagon a year ago. But if Eli Stefansky called me up to tell me that I was mechazik, I'm starting today. I'm restarting. So one person is mechazik the other, and it's a circle. He was mechazik that person is mechazik Moshe Tischler back, and Bekitzer, in 2.5 years from now, Moshe is going to write me an email how that guy was mechazik him. But Lamaisa, these things, writing these emails. What? Me? Both of them. No, but the truth is they are mechazik me. These emails are mechazik me. I know that it's mechazik other people, but I read them because it's mechazik me. And I think it's a beautiful thing. You don't know. You know, a lot of times, I don't know how you guys look at it. You see a guy pulling out a Gemara out of Chatz and you say, oh, this is for me, whatever. He has to show off, and at the chuppah he's stagging away. That might be if a balabas, a guy that's a singer, and he has no business learning, and he pulls out a Gemara, nobody looks down at him. And it inspires other people, and I encourage people at Chatz and at the bus stop, especially if you're a balabas. Nobody's going to say anything. Fakir, you never know whose life you're going to change. You never know. It's unbelievable. Here's a great picture from a distance, and when you look closely into it, you could see that this individual, I don't know, I can't get it, okay? Button's not working. We need a new screen there, I'm serious. Touch is not working today. Oh, no. This picture, I want to zoom in with the Zchuchit Magdel not working. Anyway, you can see the guys listening to the shir, waiting for Chazar shots. No, the other way. You push it. Maybe I could do it. Oh, here. There we go. So this is also a beautiful thing, MDY Chevra, because you have a great reunion at Reb Shaila's house. He went Gershi Rose recruitment at Reb Shaila. He was going to recruit. Amongst the noise, I tried recruiting and then met some of my long lost brothers. How are they brothers? He lives in Manchester. These guys are Brooklyn. Shalom Rand and Shmuli Hecht. Shalom Rand is the middle, Shmuli Hecht on the right. Gershi Rose on the left. Brothers. All right. Rabbi Sai. Oh, we got to do some sponsors, no? Rabbi Sai. Yesterday, our dear friend, Robert Eli, started a match campaign. And I'm saying this because it's a very hush of a thing. We all know that he lost his son Binyamin in the war. And they're doing this thing in, I forgot where it is, like up north, in Tzvat, where they're doing healing for families that lost loved ones. And there are a lot of families he was telling me about, people that didn't come out of their house, people that did not leave their house since October 7th because of the loss. The first time they came out was at one of these fabrings they did at the Ramada Hotel. So they want to be mechazik, they're trying to raise money. I know that somebody in this room gave 10,000 shekel yesterday, Mr. Anonymous, a big Nadvin. So I think it's a beautiful thing, especially today and yesterday, Yom HaZikaron, today Yom HaTzmaut, and everything else that's going on. So I usually don't talk about these things in shir, but I think this is important because he's part of our shir and he lost a son, and it really means a lot, and it touched everybody in a very deep way, so I'm mentioning it. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh li nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe li nishmas Chaya bas Yosef. Parnas HaYoim li nishmas Dovid ben Aryeh Leib olav Shalom Dovid ben Aryeh Leib. Parnas HaYoim Yisroel Helprin. Happy 76th birthday! Yisroel, happy 76th birthday. Israel. Happy. You're born on? Let me see. What is this? Oh, you wrote it to yourself? Happy birthday to yourself? Gewaldig. Happy birthday to myself. No, I'm just kidding. Happy 76th birthday, Israel. Happy 76th birthday, Israel Helprin. That's why, that's his name. Psh. Thanks to my parents for naming me Israel on that glorious day in 1948. To all, come now to our miraculous land and come daf with us in Ramat Bet Shemesh with Eli. Yesher Koyach. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Shragi Weingarten, in honor of all those joining or rejoining for the new Perek and for Hatzlacha to all. It's a great day for Moshe Tish to starting a brand new Perek. We just finished the traumatic Perek of Ezu Neshech. And Szlafrok Family, in gratitude to Hashem for the gift of Medinat Yisrael and our ability to live here. Rabbi Yisai, I'll say this. You know what? I'll say it. Baruch Hashem, we're in a shir that we could sit together on one table, and some people say Tachnun today, and some people don't. Some people say Yalav v'Yavai, Hallel. I don't know if they say. Some people say Yalav v'Yavai, Musaf. Some people shave today. Some people, B'dafke, don't shave. But we're all here. We're all friends. We all understand each other. We all understand. We have different hashkafas, somewhat in some things, but we're all here, sitting, learning Torah. I grew up in one way. You grew up another way. That doesn't mean that I have to do like you and you have to do like... We understand each other. And everybody has their own thing. I think last year, I don't know what happened. Last year, somebody got up here for the Ahmed and skipped to this, try to say Hallel. I don't know. Next door, there's a minyan for Hallel. There's understanding here. I actually, my sons, I sent one of them to Weissner Cheder, which they taught in Yiddish. There's not a lot of Hallel going on Yom HaTzmaut. I took him out on 6th grade when I understood that it wasn't the right place for him, and I sent him to Ari Crown. And there they do say Hallel, and they bring camels on Yom HaTzmaut, this whole thing. So I'm a little bit more open-minded than the average Haredi guy. Two of my kids went to that school, and then I took my fourth kid went to Tiferes Tzvi, which is, your regular cheder in Chicago. So I'm familiar with both sides, and that's what makes the shir special. We have people from all different stripes and colors, but we understand each other. Nobody's upset, and nobody has tightness. How come you didn't say Hallel? How come you did say Hallel? Huh? There's no taroimus, as we're going to see in the Mishnah. And we even read Szlafrok Family in gratitude to Hashem for the gift of Medinat Yisrael and our ability to live here. A couple flags in the back over there. Somebody parked his car here last night and they ripped his flag off the car. We understand it all. We get it. We chop it. Rabbi Isai, we're starting a brand new Perek today. Some of the things that they are practical and lamaisa. For instance, if you order a taxi here in Eretz Yisrael, order a taxi. It happens, you're at a wedding and they say, listen, we don't have anything in the area, 15 minutes. You don't want to wait 15 minutes, but you have no choice, wait 15 minutes. The guy finally shows up and you're gone because you got a ride with somebody or because you found a taxi that came earlier. Are you a ganav? You chayav money? What? Another thing that happens very often in different ways, but I'm going to say it in a true Maaseh Shahaya. A guy books a hall, puts down a 5,000 shekel down payment for a hall. 5,000 shekel down payment for a hall. And unfortunately, there was an accident where the Mamash Maaseh Shahaya, father and mother of the Kal were in a car accident. Broken bones, nothing. They didn't die, but knocked up. They can't come to chazana now. You can't make a chazana. They're just in a car accident. So he pushes off the chazana. He goes to the owner of the hall and said, listen, I had a oinus. It's not my fault. And a oinus, you could get out of these things. So question number one, does he get his deposit back? Question number two, the guy tells him, listen, I'll give you another date. I don't have in this month, but I'll give you 2 months away. I have one available date 2 months. I said, I'm not waiting 2 months. I'll wait until they come out of the hospital. I get married in a month. I can't push it off 2 months. He said, but you promised you're going to do a wedding by me. What's the halacha? He went and he did his wedding in another hall. So these are halachas that are neged to us. It might be talking about wheat, it might be talking about this, but they break down to things that are neged to us. This also happens a lot. You hire a contractor and he shows up on time. You know what happens? Mashiach comes the next day. Say like it never happened. Okay, so but when he says he's going to show up on Tuesday, but he shows up on Wednesday, does he owe you anything? You made up a deal here. But let's say you have a store and the worker doesn't show up. He messed you up. So if there's a loss of money, okay, you can go after him. No loss of money, then what? We're going to see in the Gemara that's not so simple what this means. Because when you read this, you hire workers and they fooled each other. Who fooled who? The employer fooled the employee, or the employee fooled the employer. But it could be a completely different pshat. It could be that employees fooled each other. That's the whole Amud Aleph. I'll explain. In other words, an employee was asked to bring more employees. Okay, we'll get there. And he lied. They lied to each other. Ein lohem ze al ze elo taroimus. All you could do, you can't sue him in court, you could have a grudge. It's very interesting. If somebody asks somebody this question, what's worse? To eat McDonald's, chazer treif, or if there's a guy sitting next to you that says tachnon on Yom Ha'atzmaut and you hate him, or the opposite, he has a giant flag in his backyard, Medinat Yisrael, and he's running around Medinat Yisrael, and you can't stand him. The Haredi guy, that Mizrachnik. What's worse, eating the sandwich, the treif, or hating that Jew? The answer is they're equally bad. They're both Isidai Raisa. If you hate another Jew, for whatever the reason, you can't stand him. He talks weird. He acts weird. He picks his nose. Whatever it is, you hate him. That's just as bad as eating chazer treif. Okay? Chazer. Think about it for a second. So Rabbi Yisrael Salanter or Rabbi Tzila Blazer, one of those, they say over here in the Mishnah, the Mishnah is telling us, Yeshla Taroimas, in this case, I'm allowed to be upset at him. You're not allowed to be upset at somebody for no reason. Okay, so he took your parking spot. It doesn't say in the Mishnah that you're allowed to have taroimus and a guy took your parking spot. Over here, it says in the Mishnah, Yesh Eilam El Taroimus. You're permitted. It's like a chiddush. Permitted to be upset at him. And some say, oh, if you're upset, so maybe the guy's going to want to make it, maybe mefayis you, make it up to you in some way. Okay. Socher is a chamor. Vesakador. You hired a donkey driver, a wagon driver, lahavi, priyafarin. These are, we have a shmaka picture over here. We have lachluchas going to a chasana. Listen, you also laughed.
You did.
You did. That was interesting. You never know what gets Mendy going. Oh yeah. No, those are her feet. She had feet of a duck, says the Gemara. Those who don't know, then I get emails. This is how you're portraying women. No, this was a woman that actually existed, and we depicted her in Nidarim. So she goes around the carrier on the day of her chasana, and one of these things, here we even have a better picture. So you hire the guy for the poles of this thing. Or, in our days, it's something like this. Where have you been? With the beard. Been waiting an hour. Gotta go pick up my father from Tel Aviv. Okay. So you hire a guy, doesn't show up. But here's the thing. In this guy, the guy on the left, he just missed a business meeting, whatever it is. He missed his flight. There's a davar ovid. When there's a davar ovid, it's different. I can't get enough of this, even though it's boring, but you got to listen to his voice again. This guy's talking now in Chinese, otherwise known as English in Ireland. You break it. Okay. Anyways, for no other reason, just to hear his voice. Or this is a better picture. You take the pishton and you soak in water. Now you tell the guy you have to take it out. You're responsible. He says yeah, and then he doesn't take it out and it gets ruined. The chol davar sha'avid, anything that gets ruined. The chazru behem, and they took it back. Makim shein sham adam. If it's a place where there's no other person, soicher alein, you could hire workers and pay them crazy money, $400 or $500 an hour to do the job that they said they'll do for $10 an hour, and you charge the guy. You promised. You call up a guy, catering. He picks up the phone. Yeah, yeah. So you say, listen, I have this big barbecue I'm doing on Vavir. He says, Vavir? He looks in his calendar. Okay, yeah, I can do it. What the Satmar Chassid didn't chap is Vavir, it's a nitcha. And he shows up with all his chevre, and they pull into the place, and there's flags everywhere. Israeli flags. The guy's losing his mind. The Rebbe said it's asur. So he says, I'm sorry, I didn't chap. This is a Yom HaTzmaut catering affair. I'm not holding. I thought Yom HaTzmaut is Dal, whatever, I don't know. Vav. I'm out of here. So he leaves. He says, oh, where are you going? You can't find the caterer now. It's impossible. So you tell the guy, listen, how much do you want? He says, $20,000. He says, you said $20,000 and you don't want to do it for 20? I'll give you $80,000 if you stay. $80,000. For $80,000, he called up the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, yeah, it's fine. I said, hey, now here, for $80,000, yesh lahater, b'dover avod. It's a hefsid meruba ma'oid. Maybe we could convert a few people back to go back on the derech. I'll do it. At the end of the catering, he comes, he does the whole barbecue. He comes and says, "No, where's the 80,000?" He says, "Here's the 80,000. You promised me 20. I'm allowed to lie to you to keep you here." That's what the Mishnah says. Oy matan. I lie to the guy. If you hire workers. Typically, Yoeli knows better. He says, give me the 80 up front, and we'll talk. That's the message of Chol Yom. You hire workers, and they take it back. Yodam ala tachtoina. Here, so it goes like this, Rabbi Yisai. What does it mean, Yodam ala tachtoina? The guy in the middle hires a worker for $10 an hour. And he did half the job. Half the job, So he deserves how much? Half a 10. He deserves 5. But the problem is, a lot of times, like, let's say you hire a guy to paint the room and he paints half the room. So to find a guy to paint half the room is going to cost you more money. So now it's going to cost you $12 an hour instead of 10. So who pays the difference? We made up, I'm going to do the job for 10. Now it's going to cost me 12. So you take it out of the first guy. So now the first guy ends up with $3 because I'm taking $2 to pay the next thing. Now, what about this case that the price went down? I actually found somebody to finish up the job for less money than I anticipated. The worker doesn't get the difference. It's too bad. But in Balabayis, Chayzer boy, what about in this case? You hire a guy for $12. You could have left it at the same thing. Hire a guy for $12. He did half the job. And then he kicked him out. So he deserves 6. Now, when the Balabayis, he found somebody for less money, so now he does have to give the worker the extra money. In Balabayis Chayzer boy, the extra money that you have here goes to the employer. Kol HaMishana, Dave, maybe you should lower the volume on this one. Kol HaMishana, remember this case? Rabbi Yosef from Baba Kama, we dye your frak. He comes in here to dye his frak. Okay, Bekitzer, he changed it. Anybody who changes or takes it back, it's what? Yeah, it's a Baba Kama. Very good. He's holding. He does the daf? No, he likes the book. In the book. Gewaldig. Okay. Anyways, the bottom line, the Mishnah wraps it up. When whoever is the one that retracts, he's the one that his hand is on the bottom. In other words, he loses. The proper way to write the Mishnah would have been to use the word chazru. And one of them takes it back. I don't want to work today. Hitu is a lashon of trickery. That's not so. It's not the best lashon when you're talking about an employer and employee. He doesn't trick. He takes it. Listen, I don't need you today. That's a chazara. Or the guy doesn't show up at work. He's not tricking the guy. The contractor doesn't show up. He's tricking? He's not tricking. He had a change of heart. That's a chazara. From the fact that the Mishnah says, they tricked one another. So I just want to do a quick review here. Mamish, a quick review. Hopefully it's quick. To go through this amud and a half, because we're going to talk about a bunch of small halachas quickly. We're going to start off saying that one employee tricked another employee. So I'll give you an example that happens with me. I have a cleaning lady who rents an apartment there by one of the guys. Okay, and I said to her, listen, I need somebody to clean the shul. I don't know where to find somebody to clean the shul. I need somebody to clean MDY every night. No problem. I said, how much does he charge? You don't worry about it. You give me the money. I'll take care of it. Okay, fine. So every week she comes to me for money, and she takes a little cut probably, and that's how it is. So that's a payal, that's an employee that gets other employees. She could tell that employee that Ellie's only paying half of what I actually give her. She could also tell that employee that I'm paying double of what I'm giving her. Why? She just wants the guy to show up, and then I don't know why. People make up stories all the time. So let's say, hold on a second, Zadik. I know you want to say something. Wait. Kabel, okay. Poyel hita poyel. Okay, so that's the first part. On Amud Beis, we're going to see that no, perhaps it's actually like we thought, that the employer is tricking the employee, and the lashon, okay, we'll deal with the lashon, it's not a big deal. So, real quickly, what are the options? That the employer said, I'm willing to pay a lot, I'm willing to pay 4. My cleaning lady tells the other person he's only paying a little, and she'll take the difference, whatever it is. So, option number 1 is, that employee accepted. That's it. What's the difference? He heard a price that it's $3 an hour, even though the owner is willing to pay $4. He accepted $3. That's enough. Or there's another svara to say no. Al timna toivim ba'alav. Yes, maybe she could keep the difference, but she was over on a pasuk in Navi. Al timna toivim ba'alav. You're preventing good from that person. I am willing to pay more. Why are you taking it away from that person? Now the other option is that the employer said, "I'll give you very little. I'll give you $3 an hour," and the other worker that's hiring, the hiring worker, she's lying. She said, "Oh, Eli's paying a lot of money per hour." So it depends. If she said, "I'm paying you like she is," in my case, I'll take care of it. I'll go to Eli, get the money. So it's on her. She has to pay the difference. She lied, she pays the difference. But if she says straight out, "No, I'm just telling you there's a job available. For money, you go directly to Eli." So then I have to pay. But the thing is that they could say, listen, and this is also Maisa Shahaya here. We just finished the renovation here underneath MDY. We have 2 beautiful offices, and eventually it's going to be also for people to sleep overnight. Beautiful. So my shita is in my apartment also, you could get an Arab worker usually takes about 500-600 shekel a day. The Chinese workers, they take 1,200 shekel a day. I only hire the Chinese for obvious reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, I'm very picky when it comes to tile. I want my grout lines to be straight and even the same size. So you hire these guys, not only to do a better job, but they also come an hour earlier, and they don't take lunch breaks, and they leave an hour later. So you get a few hours more, plus they don't talk on their cell phone, plus they're serious, and they know what they're doing. For instance, they lay out the whole floor, I'll tell you, they lay out the whole floor somewhere else. They lay it out, and they see, oh, it's not going to look good, because there's a small tile in the corner. So they redo it, and everything's mechushbin. It's a whole different story. You get what you pay for, right? It's literally double the price. So the guy says, we thought we're getting 4 an hour, not 3. And the Hebrew art scroll brings it, the English doesn't, because I'm looking, what does it mean I work better? I want to kill these guys when they tell me that. Oh, you pay me more, I would have worked better. What, you could work better and you didn't work better? Chutzpah, get at it. No, so he explains, he brings somebody, that it means we won't take lunch breaks. We'll come early. That's what it means. We'll give you more. Because you said 4, we came early. And finally, the Gemara is going to say, no. It's not that one employee hired another employee. It's the balabas hired an employee. And what does it mean that and if he tricks him, in other words, he says, I don't have work for you, that's it. You can't go after him in Bezdin, and that's the end of the sugya. Okay, so let's see it inside. Chazr all the way from the top. It doesn't say the word chazr, it should really say chazr. So when it says that there's a trickery, the atu pailim hadadi, it's one worker hired another worker. What's the case? The employer tells one of the workers, listen, I don't know workers, you know the workers, go get me some workers. And he went to get workers and he lied to them. Now there's a few options. What does it mean? What's the case? The employer is willing to pay a high price of 4. He pays $3 an hour, not 4. Who's upset at who? The new employees, they agreed to work for less money. So why should they be upset? So we'll see in a second. They could be upset. Why? Here, let's go back to over here. There could be a problem of you should have told us the truth. We could have made more money. What if the owner said 3? I'm only paying a little, but the worker lied and said he's willing to pay more. What's the case? If the employer said, don't worry, I'll pay you like my cleaning lady, she pays them directly. So let the cleaning lady pay from her own pocket the difference between 3 and 4. Because we learned. So this happens here in Eretz Yisrael sometimes, if you're lucky, or not so lucky. You hire a plumber to take care of your Dutch Shamish on the roof. He goes and he changes out the neighbors instead of yours. Okay, they all look the same. So what's the halacha? So the halacha is you pay him the full amount. What does that mean? Since you showed him the wrong dud, so you have to pay the plumber full price, but you could go to your neighbor who just got a brand new hot water system, and charge them their whatever they believe is their benefit, because eventually you're gonna have to switch it out. In 2 years from now, it only has a certain shelf life. Only lasts for 15 years. You're gonna have to switch it out in 2 years anyway. So I switch it out 2 years earlier. Okay, so it's worth a few $100. Give me a few $100. So bottom line is, if he says, I'm responsible, so you're responsible. He tells him straight out, I'm not involved here. I know that there's a job available and the balabais is going to pay you a lot of money. In fact, the balabais said he's only going to pay 3, not 4. You lied. You said it's 4. Says Gemara, what's the problem? Let's see what the going rate is in the neighborhood. How much do cleaning ladies take here? Look in this neighborhood. There's different prices. Some of the people that really are desperate for cleaning help, they jack up the prices. So now everybody has to pay, but people are lucky they're still locked in the lower price. I don't know, there's different prices. We would have, no, you could get jobs at 3, you could just get jobs at 4. I would have looked harder. You told me 4, so I agreed to work here. Had you said 3, I would have stood on the corner a little bit longer and I would have found somebody that would have paid me 4. The other pshat is no, everybody gets 3. Oh, I forgot to put this one in. Okay, so we'll stick it in here. We're talking about a besser mensch, okay? Not a besser. Let's take example. Avi Kamyansky. He has a lot of employees that work for him. He's on top. However, there's a certain amount of money that you could offer Avi, and he'll work physically also. You tell, hey, Avi, $1,000 an hour. You willing to schlep the chairs? You say, yeah, why not? $1,000 an hour, why not? Yeah, right, Avi? I don't know what it is. What's your limit? How about 500? You schlep some chairs for 500? Well, now we're talking. Okay, you see? He's a balabais. This is a balabais, a guy that has employees underneath it. He doesn't work for less than a certain amount. So you lied to him. You tricked him into it. You said, hey, I'm going to give you a nice amount. So he said, okay, I'll come. For that, I'll do it. The whole city, Taka takes 3. You lied to him. He said 4. Oh, and the Balabai says, he loved Amishlam Barba. Because you said 4, that's why it worked. For the 3, I don't work. Can't tell me, oh, everybody else takes 3. It's not everybody else, but I'm not a worker. I'm not a physical labor guy. I have employees underneath me. For 4, I do it. For 3, it's too low for me. No, we're not talking about a Baal Bais. We're talking about one worker brings another worker. Because you told us the higher price, we came early. I like that pshat. Or we worked harder. We did a better job. We would have, because you told us a higher price, we did a better job. We were more careful. We whatever it is. Says Gemara, if that's the case, let's see if they really did a Chinese job, like they call it. I'm saying nice, geschmacka, straight lines, everything perfect, no paint on the ceiling job, unbelievable, wow. Says the Gemara Berifka. We're talking about ditches. Here we have a picture of Rivka with a pay. So I said this myself, I'll say it again, because one of the most embarrassing days of my life, although there's many embarrassing days here as a Magachir, but this one was in particular, I wanted to learn the real estate business from the bottom. So I became an electrician, worked for a firm guy. So one morning he says, Eli, I got a job for you. We got to do this. What you need to do is you need to dig a trench. Maisa Shaya. He gives me a shovel and he surprised me. He'll take you to the place. He takes me to my father-in-law's house and he says, you have to dig a trench from this side of the backyard to that side, 60 feet long, maybe 2 feet deep because it has to be below the freeze line in the middle of the winter. Freezing cold. I said, you can't do this to me. It's my father-in-law's house. I said, I'll rent the trencher. I'll pay for it. I'm not sitting here with a shovel. No, you're going to dig it. So I sat there and dug it. And of course, 3-4 hours later, my mother-in-law comes out. Eli? I'm sitting like mud all over me, sitting with the shovel. That was very embarrassing. So I know about these ditches. The Gemara says it's a ditch. So what if it's a ditch? Rivka Nami made the other. Let's see. What kind of work he did here? He says, no, the Mali Mali Velo Yudia. Here, like this. He dug a ditch, but then it's full, filled with water. He can't see how deep, how nice, etc. Okay. The owner said, I'll pay a lot of money, and the employee lied to the other employee, said, I got a great job for you for 3. But your taina was, so what if the owner said 4? You agreed to work for 3, so what's your big taina? Why are you upset? It says in the pasuk, don't prevent good from the owner. You prevented good from me. When he offered 4, why are you telling me 3? So that's what it means that I have taroimus. You're Mekayim the pasuk.
You didn't get a cut. It's not the case that you got.
Yeah, I didn't get. I was saber. Yeah, no cuts. Yeah. Now the Gemara says a few halachas here. Pshita Yomar, Yomar balabais b'tlaso. The owner said, I'm only paying $3 an hour. And the employee tells the other employee, I could get you a job for 4. No, 3 to 4. No, start from the beginning. Pshita, from there. Pshita. The owner said, I'm offering 3. And he lied. He said, I have a job that pays more. So the worker looks at him and says, you have a job for 4? He says such a lashon. What is he saying exactly? I don't trust you. I only want what the owner said to you. We have to understand what he means exactly. It's an interesting lashon. He's done this before. He already got messed up by different employees telling employees different things. He says, you know what? Whatever the balabais, and the balabais is only offering the lower amount, the 3. He said the 4. So how much does he deserve? Datayu ayiluya. He gets the higher amount. Why? Because you offered 4. He also said, but whatever the balabai said, but doesn't matter. I'm going for the higher of the 2. The balabai said 3. You told me I could get 4. So 4, you have to pay me the extra. But the question is, Eli Omar le balabais barbo. What if it's the reverse? The balabais offered a lot. And the employee told the other employee, I got a great job for you for 3. And he answered him, I agreed to work for whatever the balabai said, and the balabai said 4, and the employee said 3. What's Allah? Is he relying on the worker who lied to him, and it's only 3, and he only gets 3? I believe you that that's what the balabai said. He said before, I want whatever the balabai said. It's not understood exactly what he meant. But here's what's cool, is that we have something very similar in Gittin. And maybe we could figure it out. Toshma, Havali Giti. Here's the case. So first of all, when it comes to, we learned in Gittin, there's 2 types of agents, 2 types of shlichim. One the Baal makes, and one the husband makes, and one the woman makes. They cannot make what the other one does. In other words, the woman could say, I'm making you my shliach to accept the get. All you need to do is put your hand out. When the get hits the hand, she becomes divorced. He doesn't have to bring it anywhere. That's the only way that she can do it. Get a shliach l'kabbalah. The husband can't make somebody a shliach l'kabbalah because he's not the one receiving the get. The only thing he could do is he can make a shliach l'elacha. He could tell somebody, go over there. And there's a Ma'aser Shahaya right now in Eretz Yisrael, just recently, a dayan in the bezin of the Rabbanot took a get. He was made a shliach l'elacha. He took somebody's get, traveled to a 3rd world country, found the woman in jail and prison, and gave her the get. He was a shliach l'elacha. Go through all the things, back, forth, all the airports, all the traveling, get into the prison, deliver the get. That's ma'anash shliach l'elacha. So, here's the case. She says to an agent here, to Mario, Havi get. Bring me the get. She didn't say kabel get. The only thing he could do is receive a get. But in this case, he's just an agent to deliver it, but it's not in Hilchas Gittin. Havi get. He goes and he lies to the husband and he says, she said his kabel. So we're going to see, the Gemara is going to say at the end, what he's saying is, I'm not interested in what she told me. She told me, bring it. I'm not traveling back to Eretz Yisrael to bring the get. I'm done. Just give me the get. So that's a lie. And the husband thought that that's what she said, and therefore this is nothing. Enu Gereshus. She really said, bring it back to Eretz Yisrael, and I'll decide over there whether I take it. Not. Okay. So this is similar to our case. Again, because over here, the employee that's hiring another employee is also lying. And the employee that accepted the job, he said, based on what? I'm accepting it based on what the employer said. Over here, the husband saying, I'm accepting what you said based on what my wife said. Something similar. The woman tells the shliach, please bring me the get. You're traveling to America, bring it back to Eretz Yisrael. But he lies and he says, he says to the husband, she made me a shliach l'Kabbalah. And the husband repeats to him, whatever here, I forgot this part here, Donald says, that's important, because that's what happened in our case. Whatever she said, that's what I want to do. Even if the get comes to her hand, even eventually arrives back in Eretz Yisrael, there's no get. Why? Because the husband is completely dependent on what the shliach said. And the shliach lied and he said he's a shliach l'Kabbalah to accept. Because because if the husband is actually, even though he said, I'm relying on my wife, he didn't really mean it. Because if he did mean it, when it eventually arrives back in Eretz Yisrael, she become Mugureshes and she's not divorced. So by us also, the employer that's receiving this job, he doesn't depend on the balabais, he depends on the shliach. Omer Rav Ashi, you're wrong. I'll just say the end. The end is because the shliach lied, so there's nothing going on here. He's gone. He's out of the story. In other words, he's not a shliach at all. He's announcing that he's not a shliach. If it would be the opposite, says the Gemara, then you would have a good raya. But it's not the opposite. Here, this case. What happened? Where am I? Oh, she says, "Be my shliach l'Kabbalah," and then he lies. Here's the shliach going, and he lies, and he says, "She didn't say I should be shliach l'Kabbalah. She just told me to bring it." Then you would have a great raya. And Donald says, "Okay, whatever she says." And on that, if Rav Nachman would have said, that when the get comes back to her, she's divorced. So over here,
No.
he's a shliach l'Kabbalah, and it would be a good get. The husband ignores anything the shliach says. He says whatever she said, and she said Kabbalah. So the shliach is a shliach Kabbalah. So as soon as it hits his hand, boom, she's divorced. Inami or okay, the worst comes to worst, so they'll be divorced a few days later when it comes back to Yisroel. You can prove one way or another, but in our case, you can't prove anything. Elahasam in our case, the shliach completely uprooted his shlichus. Why? Because he lied completely. Basically, when he says I'm a shliach Kabbalah, he's saying I'm not interested in traveling back to Israel. It's too much work. I'm done. My job is over. Give it to me and that's it. I don't want to work more. Memela, there's no raya. Now, going back to all these things, we're talking about in this whole list over here, right? We're holding that one employee hired another employee. Again, going back to the Mishnah. Let's open up to the Mishnah. You hired a worker, and one tricked the other. So the Gemara was understanding that's one employee tricking another employee because he uses a funny lashon of hitu. It should have said chazar. If we're talking about an employee to an employer, it should have said chazar. Now the Gemara is having charat. The boy is saying, no, it's the same word. Hitu and chazar is the same. And we're really saying what we're talking about is what you thought. That the balabayis tricked the employer, or not tricked, he took it back and says, I don't need you to work for me today. Sorry. Yeah? Like in Panovich, when the employees showed up and there was no material. Like when a taxi shows up and there's no customer. Whatever the story is, each one can do it to the other. The employer could do it to the employee, and the employee could do it to the employer. He doesn't show up the employee. They tricked the employer, or the employer tricked the employees. Since there's no loss, So they could hold a grudge against each other, but that's about it. That's only if they didn't show up at the work site. If the delivery guy shows up with his donkey and there's no material, and he cannot find another job, like a taxi driver showed up, he's there already, and he lost money because of this. You hired workers to plow the field and they show up and they can't plow, it's too moist. Listen, it's not as simple as you think. Rav Chia, in a second, he heard these words and that was it. And he didn't like it. You have to pay full amount. What do you mean? They didn't do any work. What do you mean full amount? Oh, there's an explanation. It's different. You ask the donkey driver, how much do you take to travel from Bet Shemesh to Yerushalayim fully loaded with 5 boxes on the donkey? It takes a long time. It goes slow. $100. How much would you agree to go from Bet Shemesh to Yerushalayim empty? 50. It's less gas, less this, less food. 50. So that difference you have to pay, not the whole 100, the 50. But if you stop, you have to pay full amount. It doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good. It's not good. It really isn't good. That's not the halacha. You need the explanation. I'm just saying this as Agdama in 2 minutes. We're going to see Reb Chia says, what's going on here? It makes 0 sense. And the Gemara is going to say, because they never finished the sentence. They stopped. When they told them this bride, so they stopped at you have to pay the full amount. Okay. Again, we're talking about kabbalas here, not by the hour. They didn't start the job. How do you say kabbalas in English? By the job, not by the hour. Contract, yeah, contract. Contract the job. Very good, thank you. No, thank you. By the way, I forgot to show the video. Yosef Biliak is out of the country, so he usually screams out sponsor. Eric Adelman of Bigger Cup Consulting and Chanie and Paul Schuster with Hakaras Hatov to Fishel, Simcha and Ner Tamid for bringing Rebelli, MDY and DafYomi into our lives. Thank you. Once they start the job, then you have to give them what as much as they did. What does that mean? Rabbi say it's very, very simple. Just the numbers here are slightly confusing. Shnei Slar means 8. Okay, 8. The numbers are very simple. 8, 4, half of 8 is how much? 4. So they accepted the job for 8. If they only did half a job, half of 8, they deserve 4. They said we'll weave clothing for 2 slime for 8. Or they only did half. They deserve 4. The problem is, Rabbi Isai, what if to get the guy to finish the job, again, it's 8 to do the whole job, but to finish half is going to cost me 6. 2 more than what it should cost. Who pays for the 2 more? So in the Mishnah we said the 2 more comes out of the guy that took it, the guy that broke the deal. Thank you. The guy that broke the deal. We're going to see that shita in a second, but before we see that shita, we're going to see something that argues. He has to pay the 4 to the employee. Too bad. And he comes out of pocket 6. He loses 2. Or they have another option. Finish up the job and you get all of 8. And if it's a sela, the Gemara is going to explain what the chiddush is over here. This is our Mishnah. We give him what the future is. In other words, if it's going to cost him 6 to complete a job that should have only cost him 4 shekel. You only give that guy, instead of giving him 4, you give him 2. Shekel is 2. You take 2 out of his pocket because he's the guy that broke the deal, and you give, and now you pay. Now you have another 2 to pay the new guy. Instead of paying the new guy 6 out of your pocket, you pay 4 out of your pocket, and you take 2 from the guy that broke the deal. He has an option to finish it off himself if he doesn't like it. He doesn't like making 2 shekel or 2 dinar. He wants to make 4, or you can even make 8 if he finishes that up. Rabbi said it happens all the time. If anybody ever did renovation, guy stops in the middle of the job. Usually, it's going to cost you a little bit more than half to finish it. Most guys that come to finish up the job, they don't want to make the 50%, they want to make either 100%, 70%. Who's going to pay for that extra? So it says over here, according to that man, and that's the sheet in our Mishnah, it comes out of the first contractor. Again, we have to understand what's going on here. Says the Gemara, if there's no big loss, you can wait 2 days, finish the job, nothing happened. Like we said by a chasana, when they brought those flutes to make the music at a wedding. It's in the Mishnah. I might have not even, I don't remember saying it. I remember reading it, maybe. The flutes in the Mishnah to sing at a wedding or at a funeral. The wedding is now. If you leave, gone. There's a Ma'aseh in Eretz Yisrael, Ma'aseh Shaya. How do I know it's a Ma'aseh? I'll tell you in a second. There was a guy, the band didn't show up to the wedding. That's not a problem in Eretz Yisrael because they have the shtiblach, wedding shtiblach, right? You go first floor, it's mishpachas this, second floor that. So you just plugged in to the music of the other guy. So now the Zayd is dancing with the chassan, and all of a sudden, Yomi Mayimei Melech. So the Zayd was so excited. He was like, wow, they're singing Yomi Mayimei Melech. So he gave a beautiful check. It wasn't the Zayd, it was the uncle. And then the Shaila came to who? To Zivishstein.
What's the Shaila?
He gave them money because he thought they're playing Yomi Mayimei for him. It was so flawless, the whole chuppah. Now we got to start the chuppah. They're starting the chuppah. And then they started going flying, and then finally the only mess up that happened was by one of the songs by Yom Yimei Melech. Okay? But if it's a barbecue, on Yom Ha'atzmaut, when the Satmar catering doesn't want to do it, you lie to him. You tell him, I'll pay you 5 times the amount. And then when it's time to pay, you say, I'm sorry. The halacha is, I learned it in the Mishnah, I learned it in Daf Yomi, I don't have to pay you. How do you do it? You wanted one, I'll double your payment, and you don't give it to him. And if I have to get other employees because you drafted the job and I'm going to lose money here, what do I do? I could hire guys for 10 times the amount. That's because I couldn't find any other person. I'm just too lazy and I want to just get it over quickly. And they say, hey, look, there's a bunch of people that are looking for work. That's it. You could only have a grudge, but that's it. You can't pay more money and take it out of their pocket. They said in front of Rav, you give them the full amount of what? That if a guy shows up to do a moving job, nothing doing, it's already gone, somebody else did it. Pay the full amount. What do we learn? Remember, it's not literally the full amount. It's how much you ask him to go full versus with the empty truck versus a full truck. The in-between, the difference. Omar le Chavivi Omar, my uncle, my beloved said, so I just have to show this to you real quickly. This is actually, remember this. There's a woman who married Rav Acha Mekafri. They had a kid called Ivo. There's a woman who married a guy, and they had a kid that is a woman. The Ivo married Ima, okay. The blue married the pink, the highlighter, and they had Reb Chia. It happens to be that they're almost Reb Chia is. I'm sorry, they have Rav. Sorry. Rav Acha Mekafri in the middle, and the woman had Reb Chia. So Reb Chia's brother is Ivo, Reb Chia's sister is Ima. Reb Chia's own brother and own sister married each other. They were step brother, step sister. Like Ivo and Ima weren't related. They were just related to Reb Chia. And they had Rav. Believe it or not, they had the famous Galadar Rav. So Reb Chia is Rav's uncle. So I'm saying pshat, a negin pshat, a new pshat. He called him Chavivi, my beloved, because he was a super uncle. He's an uncle from both sides. So it's Chavivi. Ilu ano havoi. He says, if I was the employer, I wouldn't pay him the full amount. I'll give him payal bottle. What do you mean you pay the full amount? Says the Gemara, V'alokatani, but if you just continue the brisa, the brisa explains it's not, you don't pay the full amount. And you give him that amount of a empty truck versus a full truck. Says Gemara, you're right. They never had the opportunity to finish up the brisa with them, so you didn't know that. They did finish it up. If it was me, even I wouldn't give him anything, not even a poil bottle. But I'm just a poil bottle. But it says in the Brisa, you do give him kipoil bottle. If the worker came there and checked out, oh, here's the moving job. He saw it beforehand. He saw the land before. He just showed up. He never saw it. You hire workers to dig a ditch. And then came a rain and filled it up with water. If he checked out the land beforehand, so who's guilty here? Everybody's guilty at the same level. In other words, nobody knows more than the other. You have the guy that hired and you have the guy that's being hired. They both saw the field. They both saw it's cloudy outside, whatever. They're both 50-50. Therefore, they take the loss on themselves. But if they didn't check out the field, therefore it's the owner's fault because they never checked it out, and therefore he has to give him like a poil bottle. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.